Today we are doing task number 6, cryptographic failures, supporting material 1 and supporting material 2. As always, we are inside OWASP Top 10 2021 from the complete beginner path on TryHackMe. And today we are reading about cryptographic failures, supporting material number 1. The most common way to store a large amount of data in a format easily accessible from many locations is in a database. This is perfect for something like web application, as many users may interact with the website at any time. Database engines usually follow the structured query language syntax. In a production environment, it is common to see databases set up on dedicated servers running a database service such as MySQL or MariaDB. However, databases can also be stored as files. These are referred to as flat files databases, as they are stored as a single file on the computer. This is much easier than setting up an entire database server and could potentially be seen in smaller web applications. Accessing a database server is out with the scope of today's task, so let's focus instead on flat file databases. As mentioned previously, flat file databases are stored as a file on the disk of a computer. Usually this would not be a problem for a web app, but what happens if the database is stored underneath the root directory of the website? That is one of the files accessible to the user connecting to the website. Well, we can download and query it on our own machine with full access to everything in the database. Sensitive data exposure indeed. This is a big hint for the challenge. So let's briefly cover some of the syntax we would use to query a flat file database. The most common and simplest format of a flat file database is an SQLite database. These can be interacted with in most programming languages and have a dedicated client for querying them on the command line. This client is called SQLite 3. And it's installed on many Linux distribution by default. Let's check it out. SQLite 3. There you go. We have it. Let's suppose we have successfully managed to download the database. Right here we have the example.db file, and we just list to see the permissions, right? All right, then we go to check the type of this file. Here we see that it's a SQLite 3 database, last written using SQLite version, file counter it's 1, and database pages 2, cookies, write schema, and so on. We can see that there is a SQLite database in the current folder. To access it, we use SQLite database name. Right here we see the example, and there you go, we are inside that database. Now we can query it. From here we can see the tables in the database by using the .tables command. Let's jump in our and say here SQLite 3 help. Actually, let's use the -help. And here you can see some of the flags. See output mode to tables. We can see it like here. We can see the tabs, right? We see echo, columns. Pretty cool. We'll play with this in the practical part. Right, so here we see the SQLite, right? We turn it up, and here we use the command tables, and we see it's one customer table. At this point, we can dump all the data from the table, but we won't necessarily know what each column means unless we look at the table information. First, let's use pragma table information and then customers to see the table information. Then we'll select all from customers to dump the information from the table. Okay. So we see here pragma, then table information for customers. We see it over here. All right. And then basically we just use SQL syntax to see the information that we are looking for. Basically, we can see from the table information that there are 4 columns. You may notice that this matches up with the results. Take the first row. And here we see the copy of this row. We have the customer ID 0, the customer name, the credit card, and the password hash. In the next task, we'll look at cracking this hash. I think it's an MD5, and here it's the MD5 example. Like we can use hashget in order to identify our hash, but for sure we will do that in the previous in the videos that will come. Answer the questions below. Read and understand the supporting material on SQLite databases. Yo, nice.